Right then, ladies and gents, welcome along to the build. So I've finally managed to get the Springer all clamped up, measured up and securely in place. So this has probably taken me around, I think I've been playing around with it for about 2 and a bit hours this morning. I even dropped the camera on it at some point this morning, so dropped it down on the rockers and knocked that all out of alignment, which was fantastic. But it's all secured in place, it's all clamped up, it's all tightened up, it's all leveled up, it's all measured up. It's good to go, so I can start putting some welds in place or some tacks in place. So just to run through a few parts of the jig. So down on the bottom here, I've got 2 blocks of wood that basically they're kind of lifting up the Springer off the bench, just because you've got this bit of casting here on the bottom tree, so that's just kind of lifting that up. And then I've got on top of that aluminium channel, so the tubes can kind of sit in that nice and comfortably. So that's on both sides. Once that was all done, I basically leveled that all up, so you can see down at the bottom there you've got just a shim there and a shim just down there, just kind of keeping it all level. Once that was done, we could have moved on. Well, I moved on to the rockers. So for this part of the jig is basically a block of wood that's screwed down to the table, the bench, and then this plane here. So this piece of wood is basically you've got a screw which I loosened off, which gave me the pivoting, you say. So I was able to pivot that plane, get it leveled up, and then kind of tighten it up, so that is sitting there all flush and straight. Clamping parts, got a couple of clamping bits down here. So this one down here, this is just clamping down the fixed tube to those kind of parallel blocks. This one on the top, this is just kind of clamping the active fork in place. It was more just to stop it moving around because I had to tap the active bracket in. Perch plate, so that's all measured up, that's ready to go. So I've got the welding magnets in place, and I've basically measured up from the bottom tree to there, so that's the measurement I needed, both sides. So it's all ready to go to get tacked in place, and then I can take it all apart and get it welded up. Right then, ladies and gents, so I'm all done with the welding and filing, finally. So yeah, that's the active fork done. Sorry, get it right, the fixed fork. We'll do that again. So that's the fixed fork done, all done and dusted, and that's the active fork done as well. So the perch plate, that has been was tacked in place, top and bottom, then I've just gone around it and welded up around the perch plate. I've filed these all down and then sanded them down just so they look a lot nicer, because this is the part that you're going to see quite a bit, I should imagine, anyway, sorry. So yeah, I'd like that to look a bit nicer. Now I've left the welds undressed underneath. Reason for that is because I'd like a bit more strength to the part. So with that extra material there, it'll just be a bit more, yeah, a bit more strength to it. So yeah, that's my thought process anyway. So yeah, I'd like a bit more strength there, and you're not going to see it much anyway, which is just as well, because the welds, they're not perfect. Moving on to the active fork. So the active fork looks, I'm really chuffed how that's turned out actually. So at the minute I've got the, well, it's finished off with the kind of the dress tubes, so these 2 tubes here, but underneath that you basically had the tube leg that fed into a bit of a pin which was drilled in and welded to the bracket. So that was slid up, welded in place, and then I didn't have to dress down the welds too much, just because the tube fit down on top of that. So once they were in place, I basically just welded, put a seam of weld down here and here, and then I've just filed that down sanded it up just so it looks like one piece. So I'm really chuffed with that. It's turned out really nice. Yeah, there's a bit of an imperfection there, so a bit of undercut on the weld. I ended up chasing it around, kept putting filler in it, but yeah, just ended up chasing it around, so I've left it. We'll call it a character flaw. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is basically get these two pieces fixed together via the springs. Now, when I've kind of done the spring setup in the past, I used the press. Yeah, use the press. But obviously I only had to utilise the brackets. I didn't have the forks in place at the time. So what I'm going to have to do is, I think, press it upside down so the forks kind of protrude out the top of the press. I think it may be a bit of a task, we'll see. So yeah, let's have a go. Got a bit of a problem though. With all that in place, that there, I can't fit the springs. I need something. That's a little bit sketchy, and I'm not sure if I'm happy doing that. But it means I can fit the springs. I've got access to fit the springs now. But it's two chunks of wood that are going to get pressed with quite an amount of pressure. Should we just give it a go? Yeah, sod it. Let's just give it a go. I meant to put the dome ones on,